Whirlwind romance lasting less than a year, Bruce proposed to Linda, and the couple married on August 17, 1964, and moved to Oakland, California. Encouraged by his new wife, Bruce continued to teach all comers at his new school in Oakland, angering the elders of the local Chinatown community, who deeply resented his insistence on teaching the secrets of Chinese martial arts to Caucasian students. Consequently, the elders nominated Wong Jack Man, a local kung fu expert, to challenge Bruce to a contest. For both fighters, the stakes were high. If Bruce lost, he would have been duty-bound to either close his school or stop teaching kung fu to Westerners. If Wong lost, he would have been similarly bound to stop teaching indefinitely. When the time for the fight came around, Wong, intimidated by Bruce's fearsome reputation, tried to delay the match and then to impose restrictions on the techniques that could be used. Bruce was furious and insisted that the fight be a no-holds-barred contest. When the match finally took place, Bruce defeated his opponent quickly and easily, using his refined Wing Chun technique. Despite his ease of victory, Bruce was still concerned that he took too long to defeat his opponent and began to re-evaluate his style. Through this redevelopment process, the early concepts of Jeet Kune Do, also known as the Way of the Intercepting Fist, began to form. JKD would eventually develop into the most efficient unarmed combat system ever devised by one man, and would utilize the most efficient fighting techniques from such diverse arts as Wing Chun, Thai boxing, Judo, Japanese karate, and Western boxing. Bruce's key principle for his new system was a style without style, an ideology and physical training regime which conditioned the mind and body to respond instinctively to any given attack, without reliance on set patterns or movements. During early '65, William Dozier successfully raised finance for the Hornet project, and Bruce was signed to a one-year option as Kato in the resultant TV series. He was paid an $1,800 retainer, a small fortune at the time, and fulfilled his lifetime ambition to appear on TV at the tender age of 24. On February 1, 1965, Linda gave birth to their first child, Brandon Bruce Lee. Bruce was delighted at the prospect of fatherhood and developed a close bond with his young son, which lasted throughout his lifetime. Tragically, only 7 days later, Bruce received news from Hong Kong that his father had passed away. Grief-stricken, Bruce flew alone to Hong Kong to attend his father's funeral, before using his advance from producer Dozier to fly himself, Linda and Brandon back to Hong Kong to settle the affairs of his father's estate. After spending time with his grieving mother, Bruce returned to the United States in September of '65, residing in Seattle before relocating with his family to an exclusive apartment on Wilshire and Gailey in Westwood, Los Angeles. During early 1966, Bruce finally began work as Kato in the Green Hornet TV series, earning $400 per show over 26 episodes, with a two-part guest slot added into the Batman show. While living in Los Angeles, Bruce, with the help of Dan Inosanto, opened his third Junfang Kung Fu school at 628 College Street, Los Angeles, where the final formulation of Bruce Lee's philosophy of the martial art, Jeet Kune Do, blossomed. The last episode of The Green Hornet aired on July 14, 1967, before being cancelled by the network. The ratings had dropped considerably since the first episode, and by all accounts, Bruce was more popular with viewers in his supporting role than leading man Van Williams. Disappointed by this temporary setback, Bruce continued to build a portfolio of television work with appearances in Ironside alongside Raymond Burr, Here Come the Brides, Blondie, The Milton Berle Show, and Longstreet opposite James Franciscus, where he appeared as Lee Chung in 4 episodes. In one episode of Longstreet, entitled The Way of the Intercepting Fist, Bruce is given the opportunity by screenwriter friend and student Sterling Siliphant to explain on film for the first time the fundamental philosophical principles behind his amazing fighting art. Bruce Lee's first Hollywood movie role was as Winslow Wong, opposite James Garner in the 1968 film Marlowe. Despite extensive location scouting in India, a planned co-project with Hollywood students Steve McQueen, James Coburn and Sterling Siliphant, entitled The Silent Flute, was abandoned due to the lack of a coherent script. Bruce also suffered further disappointment when he was rejected by producer Fred Weintraub for the lead role in kung fu western The Warrior, a concept later developed into the Kung Fu TV series starring David Carradine. Understandably, Bruce was at an all-time low at this time. But on April 19, 1969, his second child, Shannon Lee, was born in Santa Monica. Linda Lee would say that Bruce felt that an angel had come to stay at our house. Bitterly disappointed with Hollywood, Bruce visited Hong Kong with his son Brandon in 1970 and was enthusiastically greeted by the local media community as the star of the Green Hornet. After a stunning appearance on a local TV show where Bruce performed a demo of his art, breaking 4 consecutively placed boards and 1 hanging in the air, he was courted by local film and TV producers. After rejecting an offer from Run Run Shaw at the legendary Shaw Brothers Studios to sign a 7-year contract on a salary of $2,000 per film, Bruce accepted a part from fledgling producer Raymond Chow to star in his new project The Big Boss, due to start production in Thailand. This first Hong Kong-produced Bruce Lee film was a massive hit and outgrossed The Sound of Music, taking more than $3.5 million in its first 3 weeks of release. Bruce became a star literally overnight, captivating audiences with his magnetic charisma, brutal physicality, and a level of martial artistry which was light years ahead of any other screen star working in the business at the time. After the amazing success of Boss, Bruce was given a larger salary, a bigger budget, and more directorial control for his next project, Fist of Fury, which went into production in 1971. In what many enthusiasts consider to be the ultimate martial arts movie, Bruce plays the fictional character of Chen Chun, a student of legendary real-life martial artist Fop Yung Gap. In an emotive roller coaster storyline of friendship, betrayal, revenge, and deadly confrontation, Lee is a true force of nature. He battles against Japanese imperialist forces determined to subjugate his people and close down his school. In each of